Hello, Otafest listeners, and welcome back to the Otafest podcast. I'm Jay. I'm back. I made it.
Yay!
He lives.
He lives.
He lived.
I have been resurrected for the purposes of only the podcast.
You owe
I
me
don't
a Phoenix
exist anyone
Down.
else. Oh, I don't even know where to find one. Yeah,
I
guess
don't
I'll just
either.
be indentured
What do those
to you
cost? Like
forever.
500 gil, give or take?
Like $8.
A boba, give or
With
take.
me, I have the Angelo, the Dio,
Hello.
the Nancy,
Hi!
and we are here for a new episode. But before we get too far, I have some news and announcements for you all. Otafest collaboration with Regal Cat Cafe has officially started and will run until the end of April 2023. That's this year.
Woo!
Make your way there and try Gabriel's Ota Soda. Or for $25, get 2 kitty visits and 2 special drinks, plus a chance to win a free weekend pass to Otafest 2023. Again, that's this year's Otafest.
Get ready to experience Yosoka energetic traditional dance routines and colorful costumes that have made them a beloved fixture of the local art scene. As a dynamic Japanese dance troupe, they will bring their unique style of dance, Yosakoi Soran, to our festival.
And get ready for Yamano Oto, the Calgary-based taiko group, and they'll be joining us at Otafest 2023. Again, that's this year! Get ready for a high-energy performance that blends traditional rhythms with modern influences. Experience the power and beauty of Japanese drumming live. Go grab your tickets now at otafest.com.
Woo!
Ah, so much good
Yay.
stuff.
So
So
many
much
good
good stuff.
things coming up, and warning for cosplayers, creatives, and people doing preparation for the event. You are down to the final month and a half. This is not a drill.
So you have a month of procrastination.
And then 2 weeks to get all of your stuff done. Good luck!
Yeah.
You do it.
All of your managers are looking forward to your vacation requests where you take off the 2 weeks before Otafest and
Yep.
then the following 5 days after Otafest so you can recover.
Exactly.
Yes. I do remember for the longest time about I want to say 8 years ago, something like that. There was a time where a significant amount of people at Otafest worked
In the same
at
place. Yeah.
the same place. And part of it was just they had the same skill sets, so they worked in the same they
The
would
same
recruit for
general
each other.
industry. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was on the professional side, it also just made sense. But then come around Otafest, they would all be submitting time off, and they'd be like, and the business at hand, they were like,
We can't do this. We cannot have
this is not good for us.
Yeah, it was like we can't have 75% of our workforce just vanish for an entire weekend.
But the funny part is that we had people at every level of that organization, basically.
Yeah, like all
So
the
there would be
approvers were also
somebody-
people who
Yeah.
were like, yeah, I want you to take that time off so you can go do the stuff
Yeah.
that we
Yeah,
did together.
we
literally,
do.
the life that we actually lead. Everything else is a front, a sham. But for 4 days for the organizational part of it, Otafest is we live our real lives.
Yeah.
Clearly, Otafest needed to engage in higher forms of regulatory capture for the company involved. We needed to get Jenny as their CEO. We needed to get everybody else involved in the HR department.
Yeah. I mean, we could just have an entire organization made out of Otafest volunteers. Then we could plan our entire strategy around Otafest weekend and Otafest big events.
It's almost like we have that. It's almost like
I
that
don't.
exists.
I
As
don't know what you're talking about.
Non-for-profit organization or something. I mean, you know what I mean.
Oh, we sure do. But yeah.
Yeah, funny stuff. I was kind of making a joke not necessarily related to the podcast, but kind of related now that you've brought it up, which is that there's sort of like a pipeline where if you played professional video games at any level, you end up working in IT.
Yep.
And
100%.
like that's 100% like a
100%.
discoverable thing, and I am contributing to that. Nancy
As am
also
I.
just raised her hand because she's
Yep.
also contributing to that. Some of
Identify.
my coworkers contribute to that, both current and that is definitely also true, I think, for anime nerds. Like there's definitely an anime nerd to computer science or IT related field pipeline, in the same way that there is definitely a furry fandom to IT pipeline. Like all the like media culture nerds, there's
So
if
are
you're a
you saying
media
that-
We know
culture
where
nerd,
it's at.
you will end up in IT.
We
So
know
you're
where
saying
it's
that-
at.
Niche pop culture that requires, or traditionally required, a vast amount of computer knowledge to successfully navigate and acquire leads to technical fields.
Yeah, indeed. And it is really not surprising. It is an unsurprising correlation. And yet
the same brain cell is shared.
the same brain
That's
cell
why.
exactly is
It's
shared
true.
across all pop culture nerds. So if you are a pop culture nerd, there is like, I don't know, a 75% chance that you will be in an IT or IT related role or position.
Will that keep being the case, though? Because
Yes.
unlike 20 years ago, where you had to be very tech savvy to acquire anime, these days it's very easy. You can get it on just about any streaming app.
That's a good point. Maybe it will change. I don't know. That's a good point.
Maybe. I don't know.
Weebs can go back to, like, working in restaurant kitchens. They can become farmers.
No, they can't. They can't afford. How are they going to afford all their Nendroids waiting tables?
Are you kidding? The waiters are the best paid people in the restaurant. With all
I
those
guess that
tips.
is true. But except people aren't tipping as much anymore.
I mean, to Dio's point, I was just going to say, if you don't already work in IT, you probably will soon. Or at
Yeah.
some point, you will find yourself working in IT.
That is true. That is also just a given, regardless of who you are. We live in a technology world. You will inevitably find yourself working with technology.
And you know what? Those waiting jobs that I just said that weebs are going for, they're at threat by technology.
I
They're
guess that is
going to
true.
be destroyed by adorable little
Cat robots.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we did go for fusion sushi yesterday for
Yay.
like a dinner, and I
Yeah.
had never been to the. So there's a couple locations in the city. I had only ever been to the Kensington location. I have no idea why that's the case. I've always only ever been to the Kensington location. We went to the 17th Ave location for the first time. For me, for the first time. For other people, not the first time, but for me, the first time. And they had one of those cute little cat robots. Those cat robot waitress.
So it was a
waiter
robot
things.
that was about 4 feet tall, and on the top of it was an LCD screen that had a little, like,
Calmoji face.
text Calmoji cat face. It had little
Oh.
ears with LEDs on it.
My
And
God.
the body of the robot was like trays. And so they would load your food onto the cat robot. It would drive over to your table and be like, "Nya, look at me. Grab your food and press the finish button."
Yeah.
And so when we
The-
pressed the finish button, it made this adorable little cat face, and it was like, "Nya," and it was like so cute. And then it drove away.
So I thought of two things that basically are flaws in that robot. First of all, when it came to the table, Dee was like, "Oh, hold on, I need to take a photo." And like it just sat there awkward. It only had one dish for us, and I don't even mean like a big dish. It was
It
like
was just
I think
beef
it was like
tataki. It was just
yeah, it was
beef
just beef
tataki.
tataki. It was like a small bowl of beef tataki, and it was just sitting there awkwardly, waiting for Dio for like 15 seconds to
Yep.
like actually bring out the phone, and then Angelo was like,
Yep.
"Take a video," and that took longer.
Oh my
And it was just like,
gosh.
so it was just, the
It was
human
just
equivalent
chilling
would be
there.
like, I got places to be, but you got to hit finish before it kind of rolls away. Second of all, I don't really like the fact that it has open air trays. Like, I feel like it needs to be closed trays. I don't know why it's a sanitary thing for me, or
Like, you want like a
or I
little
want to know, like,
shelf
which
that you
one-
can pull up.
yeah, or like I want to know which tray might be my order coming to the table kind of thing, as opposed to it's just sitting there.
I think they only show one order at a time. Like, they would only load it with one order at a time is the idea. But at the same time, like, why do you care if it's open or closed? When a waiter brings it to you, it's not closed.
Because a waiter can monitor what's happening to the food as it brings it to you, versus this slow robot just Roomba rolls it over to you through the whole restaurant. I don't know. I just don't like that as much.
Are you worried that
That's
someone is
valid.
going to snipe your beef tataki from the robot as it passes by?
No, I just don't want that thing that happened in Japan with the train sushi, where people were like
Yes.
licking the
Ew.
condiments and putting it back onto the
Ew.
rail.
Oh!
Yeah,
Who raised
I'm
these
not-
barbarians?
Don't do
Japanese
that.
people apparently. It's terrifying.
Awful.
Yeah, I had a very maybe this is because like I work I do a lot of coding, and like I get to flirt with AI and robotics a little bit as part of my work. So I have like this weird sort of like hilarious contempt for robots, no matter how
Sure
cute
do.
they are.
That's the other flaw. That's the other flaw that these robots will have.
And so at one point, the thing is like it's waiting for orders, right? Like it's delivered all its stuff, so it returns to its like little docking station by the kitchen, and it's just kind of sitting there and it's blinking through its cute faces. And I think both Jay and Angela just go, "Oh my god, it's just sitting there. It's so cute." And I'm like, "Ha, it's so adorable. I would love to watch its face change as I push it down some stairs." And they're just like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I don't know. I just want to destroy it. It's so cute that I just
So there is actually on a more like scientific level. I don't have the exact details because I am no scientist, but I have read something along the lines of like there is some weird correlation between cuteness and wanting to destroy cute things.
What?
It's called cute aggression.
No.
Yeah, no. It's actually a thing. Like, yeah, you've heard it, you just may not recognize it in the context. But a lot of people will say, like, "Oh my god, it's so cute! I want to crush it." Like they want
wanna
to squeeze it to
squeeze it.
death. And then people say that because there's a weird correlation there. I don't know what it is in terms of the actual like psychological linkage, but it is like, oh, like I want to just
Thank you for defending me, because I was about to say I do not want to do this to people or cute animals or only cute inanimate objects.
yeah.
Are the victims of my internal rage. But
Dio just really likes Office Space and anime, so destroying cute printers is the obvious
I
correlation.
would love to like just kick some printers down some stairs. That would
Like,
be really fun.
Imagine,
Like, damn.
imagine a printer screws up printing your thing. The paper gets jammed. And as soon as you unjam the printer, the first thing it does is it prints out like a sorry emoji. I
my
would want to
God.
punch it.
I would too. I would really
This is
want to.
so-
I would want to do bad.
What
things
if
to
what
it.
if it had like a printer built in, and then like you like pushed it so hard like it's pretty much busted, but it has like an emergency printer that just like prints out like a piece
Little
of paper.
sad
So it's like,
faces.
I'm so sorry. Did I do good enough?
But I mean, a lot of printers have an LCD as well, so like it could just show
It
the
could just
sad
show a
emoji
little
on
sad
there.
face.
But I feel like wasting physical resources like ink and paper to show the sadness is really what printers would do.
Yes,
True.
because they
I
are
just
evil little
imagined
creatures.
one of those cat waiters, like when they start running low on power, they go back to a person to ask them to be docked to recharge, and then on their face they also say, "Did I do a good job today?"
Well, that's curiosity, right?
Yeah,
The rover, the Mars
the
rover.
rover. Yep.
Did I do good enough?
Did I?
Yeah.
Do
Can I come?
Good?
Can I come home now?
Oh.
No, you're never coming
You can
home.
never come back.
Yeah, it's getting dark.
You know what?
This is
Actually,
why our generation grew up with like Nintendogs.
you know what would be
True.
interesting.
I did not.
The
Maybe.
first manned mission to Mars that has a planned return trip, which I hope would still be the first mission to Mars. If they collected some of the rovers to bring them back for like a museum or something. I think
Oh my
that'd
God, that
be
would be
great.
so cool.
I don't think they would ever bring them back until like it would be a very long time for them to ever bring them back. I think it's we established colony on Mars. Go to the Mars Museum.
Yeah.
because they're not
Yeah.
gonna payload a whole other trip back here. It's
Yeah.
just- this is
Those rovers are like
Like,
1,000 pounds or something. It would be
No, but
very
that's not the other-
expensive for
but
just
the other thing is-
nostalgic purposes.
like I could be wrong, but I feel like at least for the first, like, I don't know, probably 5 trips, maybe 10 trips, if you're going to Mars, you're staying on Mars.
You are probably staying there. Yeah.
You're gonna
I
be
would
the first
hope-
people to not die on Earth, basically.
Yeah.
I would hope that they would have a
That's
return
dark.
trip planned somehow. But the
No.
reality is, if they were bringing anything back with them, it would be a bunch of Mars rocks and Mars dust.
Sand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll just be a bunch
no,
of
no,
environmental
no. What's going to
stuff.
happen is, like, you're right. We're both right. We send people, living real humans up there, and then they're like, establish a colony on Mars. You can't come back, but send us some rocks, please.
Pretty
The
much,
rocks
it's gonna
can
be like,
come back.
send us the samples.
Oh no.
Please.
Rocks
Gosh.
are allowed. You are not.
You are not. You stay there.
Yeah.
Oh. Catbot can bring
God,
the rocks to the rover.
Oh, true.
Did I do
Yes.
good? Please rate my service.
We don't
Oh.
need a rating.
Now,
Uh,
it's depressing enough to think of people going to Mars and never coming back. So let's think of businesses exiting Canada and never coming back instead. So this week, Bed Bath & Beyond finally started their going out of business sale.
yeah.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah,
this
they
has
did.
been something that's been on Dio and I's radar for a little while now.
Mhm.
So we made a trip to go out there, and there was one item specifically that I've had my eye on for a little while. For the longest time, they've had these nice marble, mortar, and pestle sets. And so I got one for 30% off. Absolutely fantastic. And the first thing that I wanted to do was make some real traditional garlic aioli.
Aw,
Now-
yum.
The garlic aioli that you get in a lot of restaurants or in like a squeeze bottle at a store is made with mayo, which is not the right way to do it at all.
It's the cheater way of doing it.
The proper garlic aioli is just cloves of garlic, a little bit of salt, and olive oil to emulsify. Yesterday, Dio made some grilled cheese, and I was just like, you know what? I'll whip up some aioli real quick since I haven't gotten to do it yet. The grilled cheese was cooked much faster than the aioli was prepared. So I took a shortcut in the way that I just didn't mash in enough oil. I didn't emulsify enough oil, so it was still much thicker, still pretty creamy. But the garlicky tastes were not
so strong.
dispersed enough. It wasn't diluted enough. And fat carries flavor, so every little molecule of olive oil that was emulsified into this wonderful garlicky paste. It was garlic with the force of 1,000 suns. It was powerful enough to make an Italian man weep with joy.
It was. I took a bite and I was like, it's spicy and not
This is-
not spicy hot, but like
Garlic
horseradish spicy.
Garlic spice. Yeah. This is enough
It
to
was
be
so good.
antibacterial.
Yeah.
So
I loved
you
it.
told
I
when
adored
you
it.
told me about this yesterday. You told me that, like, we'd already gone for sushi, and then we hung out for a bit, and you told me about it then, and then you said, I can still taste the sushi in the back of my throat.
No,
Not the sushi, the
garlic.
the garlic aioli in the
Yeah.
back
I
of my
could.
throat. I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
So
so everything
For
that we ate just now, you had a
context-
tinge of garlic. I was like,
Wow.
For
okay.
context, we made the grilled cheese sandwiches in the aioli around 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yeah.
After that, because the garlicky flavor was so strong in our mouth, Dio made both of us brush our teeth.
Yeah. I was like, I
And
can't.
then
I can't
we
deal
went
with
and
that.
had dinner around 7:30ish. And then 10 p.m. rolled by, and I was like, yep. When I swish my tongue around different parts of my mouth, I can still taste the garlic. It's still there. This is wonderful.
It was so strong.
How well did you wash your mortar and pestle? Because it's all going to be in there too.
I,
He's like, you have to watch it?
not going to lie, I basically just rinsed it and used a little bit of a brush. But
Yep.
I'm not
Everything
too
you
worried
make in there
about
is
it.
going to be garlicky from now until the end of time.
Well, that just sounds like a bonus.
Yeah, he's like, don't threaten me with a good time. This sounds great.
Angelo has effectively seasoned his mortar and pestle permanently for
That
future use, which does
marble,
remind me
that's
I
the-
also
that's
need
the
one
going
of
to
those.
garlic
taste
mortal.
like rocks. No, it's going
Like
to taste
rocks?
like garlic.
Garlic.
Those
Garlic
rocks are
and
going
rock.
to taste like garlic. It's
Nice.
wonderful.
I guess that
But-
means I gotta go out and get one.
Nancy, you were saying that Nordstrom is
have
also
one?
going out of business right now.
Wow.
I have one made out of teak wood for
Whoa.
making pesto, specifically because pine nuts, don't need like stone. But I don't have a stone one, so I will probably go out and get and
okay.
grab like a marble one.
I've
But
only
yes.
I
ever had a
explicitly
stone
bought this one for aioli and pesto.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Only
what I
ever had
wanted
a
to do.
stone one, so
Pesto in like a wooden one is just like an extra level of creamy because of the way the wood interacts with each other when you rub like wood against each other.
Yeah, you get some of that like wood oil.
Yeah, but for a marble one, it's really nice because you've got that like roughened stone texture, and it's really great for grinding down dried stuff, so like dried herbs, things like that. So slightly different uses, but yes, I would also like a marble one. But yes, Angelo, I mentioned just like a little while ago that Nordstrom is also going out of business. Speaking of big box stores that are leaving.
I've
And
only
they-
ever walked through a Nordstrom's.
Same. I've walked through a Nordstrom twice, but I don't
buy-
think
I
I've
don't
ever
shop
shopped.
at Nordstrom.
I've walked in front of a Nordstrom and I was like, oh, that place smells like money. I shouldn't go in there. They're too rich for me.
Well, at the moment, you can either get away with 20% off of stuff, like up to 20% off of stuff, or not paying GST on something. Like everything in the store is either somewhere between
5 to 20%
5
off?
and 20% off.
All right. All right.
Wow. Big deals. Yeah, stuff
That
is...
could be like $6 off a pair of underwear.
Let's go!
Yeah, there you go.
Better than zero.
Better than zero.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lots of big box stores going out, so it's time to take advantage of sales.
But
Go
on the
in
other
and buy
hand,
their
apparently
hats.
we're gonna get a Uniqlo, so I'd rather have the Uniqlo
I'm
anyway.
so
Me
excited
too.
for the Uniqlo because
Honestly,
I am
between
so
the
excited.
two, I'll go
This
into
better not
Uniqlo.
fall through. I will
I'm
have
gonna be so
brokenheartedness for
mad.
months.
So I love shopping at Uniqlo, especially for my basic stuff. Like
Yeah,
I will
for
fi-
Oh
layers.
yeah, they have like very good, just like stand like it doesn't have
Like
to be the
plain
fashion on
stuff.
top.
Yeah.
Like and that's the thing, right? Is like the thing that I've learned is like every good wardrobe, like a good wardrobe, no matter how much you like to shop or you don't, like you should have, a couple of basic t-shirts, a couple of basic long shirts, a couple of basic like button ups and some basic pants and just basic stuff that is like you mix and match with all your other more fun clothes.
You need the base layer to layer the other stuff on top of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I will say that Uniqlo stuff can sometimes be hit or miss when it comes to like the collab clothing. Like
Oh.
like they tend to do like they will do lots of anime collabs, and I will say the collab stuff, the quality is kind of 50-50, and I think that's because like I think Uniqlo is kind of like in some ways it's like an aggregator, right? Like they have their Uniqlo stuff, but they also carry like other brands for like sub brands for collab stuff. So with collab stuff, you will sometimes get stuff that is like it's there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not as amazing as some of like the generic Uniqlo stuff. Like I will
It's
say
not up to the Uniqlo standard.
yeah, that's what I'll say. Like for example, I love the Airism t-shirts. I'm actually wearing one right now.
Yeah, me
they're
too.
amazing.
I love those.
They're so comfy. They like the best
They layer
t-shirt.
well.
They layer well. Best t-shirt I've ever bought, and I don't like t-shirts normally. So I was like, this is the best t-shirt I've ever bought. And
I like
don't
having
t-shirts.
shirts to go under like sweaters for those days
Yeah.
where you do need like you
A
need
big, fluffy
something
sweater.
that's not just the sweater.
Yeah, you need like a big fluffy sweater, and the like Uniqlo's basics layer super well.
They do.
But I have one of their collab t-shirts, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with the t-shirt, but it's not nearly as nice as the Airism shirts.
The collab shirts that we've bought have all ended up being really good quality. Like the Ava shirts when they had them were really good. All of the Gundam shirts that we got were very nice. They had a whole line that had like more traditional Japanese art styles on it. Those
that
were
would
all
be
very
so
good.
Cool.
And then I went and I got like they had like a collab with Lotte, and they're one of
Ooh.
Japan's like, you know, big snack companies.
Yeah.
And so they had like a Pocky shirt, and they had one that was like
Cute.
the chocolate dipped strawberries. Those are two of my favorite t-shirts because they're not the really thin, cheap feeling cotton. They're like a little bit thicker. They feel a little bit sturdier, a little bit softer. They're really nice. So I don't know. I think the thing that I love most is probably the Aerism UV stuff. As someone
Yeah.
who's very UV averse,
Yeah,
they have
those
these
are
really
awesome.
super light packable coats and hats and like layers
They give
that
you
are
UV
like,
protection.
I know, and they're just so comfy in summer.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Uniqlo stuff. That's kind of been my go-to for basics. So if it doesn't,
Sames.
if the Uniqlo coming to Calgary falls through, I'm going to be very upset because my one thing that I don't love is, as much as I would love to order clothes online, I am very much I have to usually try it on in person to verify
Yeah.
the fit. And
Yeah,
like once
and
I've tried
feel
it on
for
person,
quality.
yeah, exactly. And once I've done that, then you know if I know it's good, I can go order more in like different colors or similar styles. Because if I know that I'm a size large, let's say in tops at Uniqlo, I know I can go buy another Uniqlo large top and it'll fit, and I'll be happy with it. But if I
Yeah.
have never tried it on in person, then I'm just guessing. And when my guesses are wrong, it means I have to pay to return things or exchange them, which is
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah. Like
True.
we're currently in Canada, I think everything ships out of the Toronto warehouse.
Yeah, I think so.
Mississauga, I guess, because Mississauga,
no.
I guess.
Oh, no, they also have a
Where
Vancouver
else?
one.
The Vancouver.
Yeah, Vancouver
warehouse.
one as well.
I get most of my stuff through there.
All right. I've noticed recently with all of my orders that they all still come from Mississauga. So I think it just depends on which warehouse picks up your order.
Yeah,
But it would make sense for us to get stuff from BC, like, let's be honest.
it's definitely closer.
Yeah, it depends on stock probably, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Not
excited
a
to
fan
be
of
able
the
to
fact
go
that you gotta pay.
and try. Yeah, I don't love like what they do is like if you buy something and you return it, they take the return, like they take
shipping
the
fee.
return shipping fee out of your return,
Yeah.
which is fine. But like, I don't love that I have to pay to return something because it means it cost me money to try on something and it was the wrong size. Like, I would rather just go to the store, try it on,
Yeah.
make sure it's the right size before I buy it. That has happened to me now. I've had the misfortune. I have had no luck with the Uniqlo belts, and with their belt wear. I've had to exchange 4 belts to finally land at one that fit, and I'm just like, I wish I could just have gone to the store and tried on the belt to make sure that it was the right kind of belt and that it would fit.
Yeah.
Unlucky. Super unlucky. But you know who else went through some serious bad luck? E3.
E3
Electronics Entertainment Expo. First started in 1995. Has now died.
Yeah. Yeah,
Everyone
it's
was just like, I don't want to play with you anymore.
bye.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that's kind of how it started. I feel like Nintendo is the first one to pull out of E3 with their own Nintendo Direct events.
Yeah.
And then Sony kind of followed soon after, to
They
the point
did.
where the only people within E3 were your third-party studios and Microsoft. But what really kind of killed E3 completely was a combination of a rise of Doritos and Mountain Dew Pope Jeff Keighley with his Game Awards, and also Corona making just in-person trade shows dangerous, if
Yeah.
not just completely obsolete.
Like, that's the thing. I've always associated, like, personally, because I've never been to E3 in person, I've always associated E3 with the virtual online event. But a big part of E3 was that it was a physical trade show. Like, it was very much a industry convention. And those used to be, like, a really big thing. But in a corona-affected world, those have been less and less over the past 3 years and are only really just now starting to come back and be like a thing. And now, like as Angelo said, your bigger players, like your Nintendos, like at the end of the day, your bigger players are the people who bankroll the event, who make the event like possible to run financially.
Yeah.
So when like your Nintendos leave and your
Sony
leaves and potentially your Microsoft is interested in going and doing their own thing, it's like, yeah, you still might have all of these smaller studios and manufacturers, but they alone can't financially fund the event happening.
What surprises me the most about this is honestly how little I actually care. Back when I was in like high school, I loved E3. That whole part of the year was like huge, right? Thinking back, like Angelo from 2005 would have been greatly saddened to know that E3 died and I never got to go.
Now that you mention it,
But
I think
for
it's
me,
the same
today,
thing for me.
I'm sorry, I haven't paid attention to E3 in probably 5 years at
years.
least.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
actually haven't even we haven't even put like a podcast episode about E3 in like 2
In
seasons.
like 2-3
at least.
years, maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's
just
Partially because it
remember-
didn't run during COVID. Partially because it didn't
Yeah.
run during COVID, but because like I don't know, just didn't feel like a lot of stuff was really coming out that was all that cool or
Yeah,
forward.
I remember when people made it made headlines that they had effectively dominated the CES gaming section of
Yeah.
CES. Like they were just like, "Yep, we win. We have taken the entire CES gaming section, and that's us now. Like we are the gaming convention thing. That
you
is
go
us.
to.
That is our whole shtick.
Yeah.
And now, when did PAX start?
I don't know.
That probably
15
started
years ago.
It's been around for a
like
while.
around 2005,
It has been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
But I think PAX had a really good consumer focus around taking that attention away from E3.
yeah.
Also because
but I
they
don't
were
even
more
know if that was-
philanthropic.
I
I would
think-
argue that they didn't have that as a goal. It just happened organically
Yes.
because
No,
people
no.
were drawn to its consumer focus, where it's
And the
literally just
philanthropic efforts.
people just playing games together and like as a community and bringing that idea as a whole, as opposed to showcasing. Where it was like, hey, we have this big pro gaming competition, or we have industry come in and just show off their stuff. It's like, that's cool, and there's a spectacle sense to it. But as we know, as convention organizers ourselves, it's not always about really what you put out there as a feature. The unspoken feature is always the community. It's always like when I ask for memories, people at like Otafest, it's very rarely, oh, it was that closing ceremonies moment or that panel or whatever. It is, I was hanging out with my friends and something cool happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Like
it.
I think, when I think about it, I think the reason, because I remember there was a period of time where I did enjoy watching E3, and I can't remember when that stopped, but I have not particularly cared for E3 in like recent years at all, much
You
like
know what
Angelo. And I think it comes down to saturation. Once upon a time, like I remember E3 being like, that was the time to learn about what new games were going to come out that year. That was the one time of year where you would get to see all the previews for the new consoles and the new games and the new technology and all the new stuff that the industry, like the gaming industry as a whole, was doing. But now that every studio is kind of doing their own sort of digital marketing and social media, and big publishers are doing their own conferences and events, and sometimes multiple times a year, there's no pull for this one. Like, I'm not interested in the one big event because there is no one big event anymore.
No.
There's just a bunch of little events.
Yeah,
You know
but
what
why
will
would you? Why
always
would you?
live
Go ahead.
on in my memory? All of the E3 cringe videos.
Yes.
Oh my
I will
god.
forever cherish
Classics.
those. Yes,
I don't remember
always.
those, but
They're funny.
Oh dear.
They're good
Go
and
find a
wholesome.
compilation. They're great.
but the point I was gonna say was that why would you want to share or compete for attention anyways if you
Yeah,
know your product
100%.
is already strong? Like they don't the whole who won E3 post analysis type
That doesn't. That there's no need for it anymore.
No, there really
it's
isn't.
not necessary when you know that your product is good anyways and you have your audience and you could grow your audience to
For
other
yourself.
people. But we live in the technological age where everything is shared immediately. It doesn't really matter in the same way anymore. So
Yeah, that's exactly
to
what I
see-
mean. Like,
it's hard
because
to see how an E3 exists. Like not just E3, but
other
you know,
sort of single focus, like
yeah.
patience style events, like
Like will CES one day kind of go down the drain? I mean,
Maybe.
you could argue maybe it's already going down the drain. I don't know.
Like
There's
the
lots.
thing I would point out is like there are other trade shows and game shows that exist, but like a lot of them have pivoted away from being trade shows and game shows. Like the Tokyo Game Show was originally a trade show about games. Like it was, it was the Japanese publisher focused equivalent of like an E3. But now when I think of it as a figure showcase. Like it's a merchandise showcase. It's a chance to see like what new Figmas and
Merch.
Nendroids and what new merch is coming down the pipeline.
Nendos.
As opposed to like I don't focus on TGS for the games. I'm there for the game merchandise.
Yeah. That's true.
Because
is
nowhere
interesting
else
to see.
nowhere else shows that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't go to a PAX typically and see like merchandise showcases. That might change in the future, but yeah, I wonder if that's just the thing. The times are changing, and the interest of people has pivoted, and so there's just less interest in an E3 style event.
People
this
still
where-
want the news, but we all know where we can get news.
Where we can go get it.
Yeah. The times are a-changing. This is where all the millennials shake their fists and go, I remember when E3 was amazing.
It was an amazing event.
Back when E3 was amazing, you had to buy a magazine about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, magazines are not really a thing anymore.
Oh my god, you're right. You just reminded me magazines were a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
remember
ever
my-
since digital distribution kind of took over the news space, they found out that, wait a minute, we can just announce this shit on our own and people will pay attention.
Yeah.
Instead of, you had to go to E3 because that's where people were looking. And then they would buy a magazine about it afterwards because they're just a pleb. They
There
couldn't
was
go
no-
to E3.
there was
it's
no-
a trade show, not a consumer show.
Yeah, and there were, you couldn't watch a VOD on YouTube. You couldn't watch a VOD on Twitch. You couldn't, like, there was no, you couldn't replay the event on demand, so you had to go buy a magazine or read a blog article or read a bunch of blog articles written
Summarizing
by people
a journalist
what happened.
experience.
Yeah.
Oh, journalism.
Yeah, it's
See you last
definitely
episode
interesting.
about my thoughts on journalism.
Yep. Like speaking of the times are changing, I'm gonna take this aside real quick. One thing that like I had the time has actually passed moment was actually for me at last Otafest. Because I went through the vendors hall specifically intending to buy stuff. Like it's very common for me. I've been to tons of cons and I will always go check out the vendors hall, the exhibitors hall, the artist alley. And I'll always look and I'll look and I'll look and I'll look, but I probably won't buy very much. I'll buy a trinket here or a trinket there. But every now and then there will be a time where I'm like, I really want to go look for things. Like I specifically want to go do a capitalism and buy stuff. Like I just want to go buy things. And I had just moved, or I was planning a move. And I was like, I want to get new stuff to decorate my new space. I want to get some stuff. And so
Yeah.
I did a lot of shopping and I have very specific memories. It brought me back specifically to like Otafest, I want to say like 2009. Which was like where the vendors hall was at the University of Calgary and it was in the McEwen like basement room. And
Yeah, in
I
the big
remember walking
ballroom.
through the vendors there.
Mhm.
And I remember that back then there were two sort of like, not issues, but sort of just things that were a thing. So
Mhm.
there wasn't great Wi-Fi connectivity. It was really hard to get Wi-Fi connectivity in the basement. And that
My
was
gosh,
not
I remember
that
that.
was not like unique to the McEwen Ballroom. That was just like a feature of like concrete basements anywhere. Like it was very tough to get like Wi-Fi connectivity, but it was also true in that vendors hall. And so because of that, it was only just becoming a thing where some people would have little digital point of sale terminals, like the big vendors, big local vendors who had point of sale systems here in the city, and they were setting up a booth. They would just bring their point of sale system or their little debit reader like to the event. But because those need to be connected to the internet, people would have a really hard time using them and getting like credit card or debit sales to go through.
Yeah.
And so I remember like anime cons of that time were largely cash based. People would carry a physical cash box. You, before going to the vendors hall, you would go to an ATM. Like,
And
do you
pull out
remember?
cash.
And pull out cash, and that's how you would buy stuff. Like, and I remember that like it was always an issue. This was not like unique to Otafest. This was like conventions everywhere. Like, if there was like an ATM near the vendors hall, there would always be a lineup for it, and it would probably like by midday
out.
Saturday be
Yeah.
sold out.
Completely.
And because and people would complain, they would always submit like not complain, but people would submit feedback that like, oh, it would be nice if the ATMs, you know, were fuller or would update more often. But it's not like the con doesn't own the ATM.
the ATMs, and like we couldn't like go ask the bank to go and be like, hey, can you just
Exactly.
make sure this is ultra stocked
is
up
ultra
on like
stocked
the
up on
Thursday
this day.
before?
Exactly, because it's not the venue that stocks the bank. Like the event can't control it, the venue can't control it. It's specifically the banks. It's their ATM. They get to stock it on their schedule.
Dear RBC, dear
and I-
TD, dear
I just-
CIBC.
Yeah, like so I have these memories of like of that, and so like my con ritual for the longest time, like throughout my teenage years, and so on and so forth, was that before the con weekend, I would go to the bank and take out the amount of money that I wanted to spend for that convention weekend, and I would put it in I would have a specific wallet, not my regular wallet, a specific wallet that was for
your
the convention
spending.
And I had this sort of like moment at Otafest last year where I went through the vendors hall, and not only had I not done this like process of like I didn't go take out cash, I didn't go take out any cash, but Wi-Fi technology has improved, so there was no issues with Wi-Fi throughout the building. And the TCC does a great job, given that they are an ISP, making sure that their building has really great internet connectivity. What a shocker.
Right.
But there were no issues with Wi-Fi, and every single vendor, almost every single artist had some form of digital payment, whether they had Square readers, like those cute little Square readers, or some of them had PayPal or like Etsy or other shop style things like Shopify on their phone, where you could literally tap your debit card on their phone.
I know.
I was just like, whoa. Like I was like, this is
Times have
awesome.
changed.
I was like, this is awesome, because I can just
This
have a
is
completely
awesome.
cashless experience while I'm shopping for my, you know, my merch from like local artists and vendors and stuff, which is awesome, like an awesome experience. But it was also just like, whoa, the times have changed. Like the future is now.
And
So-
for our American listeners, tap payment is when you can take any of your debit and credit cards and literally just tap on the point of sale.
Yeah,
then it
yeah,
does
this is
what
that's
you
another
do.
thing.
And it's safe and it's fine.
It's easy.
And it works.
Yeah, this was the other
Okay.
thing. Is like American friends have no idea what this is, because this
they're
is
just
this is
like,
a
"What is
unique
this?"
this is a uniquely like the concept of tap payment and also Interac e-transfer is uniquely Canadian.
I guess so. I never thought about that too much. So I only recently started relying heavily on tap on my phone. Like,
Yeah.
I was always using tap with my physical credit card, but I
But
only
now
recently
you can
just
do it with
started.
your phone.
Yeah, it's just stupid. Like I go walks. I go on walks for bubble tea with neighbors, friends, or just Sean.
And you don't have to think about
we
it.
don't bring a wallet with us anymore. I just tap my phone.
Yeah, if you don't think they're gonna ID you for your bubble tea, then you're
Yeah.
probably okay.
But
Yeah.
like, so here's the thing. Last year at Otafest, I 100% used my phone to buy things at the
I did
tea
too.
shop, for a t-shirt, for a plushie thing, for some artwork. Like I actually didn't know how much I had spent that weekend because I was just like, oh yeah, I'll just tap it on my phone. I don't have to carry cash with me anymore. And I don't see the 20s slowly disappearing
From my physical
And
wallet.
then-
from my physical wallet.
That's when Nancy had to refinance the mortgage.
Yeah.
to afford convention
To afford.
spending.
Everything. Oh my god. But
Yep.
it's so funny
Spending
that you
so
mentioned
frivolously.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was just like, whoa, like teenage me loved using cards rather than cash. I hated having to keep track of cash, especially like loose change, like because it was
God. I
I-
rattles everywhere.
I hated that. And so as
I'm
soon
gonna
as I
go
was
ahead and say that's worse for guys because our wallet, like
Where are you
generally
gonna
guys
put it?
carry a smaller wallet.
that fits in
Change
your pocket.
sucks.
Like,
Like
where are
yes,
you
we
gonna
have
put
big,
it?
yes,
yeah.
we have big pockets, but it doesn't mean I want a big little bundle
You don't
of
want to have
metal at
that
the
going
bottom of
ka-ching,
that
ka-ching,
pocket.
ka-ching.
I
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah. It's also
Yeah.
the
You know
worst
what I
when
love?
guys'
Men's
pockets also
formal
wear out.
wear that has a tiny pocket in it around the middle of the pocket.
For coins.
Specifically for keys and coins, so they don't
Yes.
cause a bulge at the bottom of your pocket. That
Nice.
is
Nice.
200 IQ tailoring right there.
Yeah.
But
That's
also
nice.
it's just and so I like teenage me always I loved using my debit card wherever I could. Like I loved taking advantage of being able to just tap to pay for things and not having to manage physical bills or change or coins or any of that stuff. And now it's like I know teenage me would be frothing at the mouth that I had the most seamless shopping experience where I can literally just walk around with my cellular phone device and just go tap 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 tap.
I'm almost careless with how like I trust the tap system because yesterday after dinner we had gone quickly to buy like little errand stuff at like a Shoppers Drug Mart,
Yeah.
and I was at the self checkout terminal, scanned my stuff, did the thing. It was like press here to pay for your stuff,
Your
and I
stuff.
tapped, and I literally just walked away.
Right? Like it's like I don't
grab
even
the
look.
I didn't even grab like the receipt. I didn't even wait for confirmation. I tapped.
just are like,
I heard
tap.
I heard like the
Little ding.
correct beep, and I just walked away.
Yep.
And I do that a lot more often than I probably should if there's like a real safety concern. But I'm just like, nah, it's fine. Goodbye now.
Yep.
You know what still kind of bugs me about tap? That we're still in that part of transitioning to seamless tap where every single device that you use as a checkout terminal has the tap sensor on a slightly different location on
Yes. that is
some
driving
are at the
me
top,
nuts.
some are at the top, some are on the screen. I prefer on the screen just because I can see
It's consistent.
tap
the
icon?
confirmation, the
Yeah.
confirmation of the purchase plus the price is all there. Just like, and then you smack that face, and then you're like, goodbye.
Yep. Yep.
Smack, smack, tap,
Schmackety
tap.
schmacka.
And I think this is the point where we have to tap our card against the viewer's forehead and say goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you
Walking
next
right out.
time.
See you.